My boyfriend and I, both 24 years old, have been dating for 6 months. We do not live together and do not plan to in the near future because we both love our respective apartments and neighborhoods. We are just happy with the way it is currently. However, we do spend more time together than on our own, either at his place or mine. My boyfriend has been wanting a dog for a few years. He lives in a very small one-room apartment, 20 square meters, that in my opinion isn't appropriate for a dog long-term. My boyfriend agreed it was not the right time to get a dog as he is not financially stable and he would reconsider it in a few years. However, last week he impulsively contacted a pug breeder to buy one. I'm in a very delicate position. We do not live together, so the decision to get a dog belongs to him. But we spend most days of the week either at his place or mine, so that decision will ultimately impact me and our relationship. We talked, and I expressed my concerns about it, which I think are valid because I am a human like everyone else. And this is a sudden change I was definitely not prepared for. I do not want him to bring his dog to my place. My boyfriend wants the dog to sleep in his bed. The problem is, my boyfriend's bed is a single bed, and we barely fit together, so imagine what it would be with a dog. I said I won't take the dog for walks as it is his dog, and I unfortunately don't think I am currently emotionally available and have a place in my heart for a dog. He said he would never expect me to care for the dog, but the dog will follow us everywhere and be part of our life. What would happen if I really have no feelings towards the dog? This could potentially make my boyfriend sad. We have very good intimacy, but I know him, he's quite prude, and having intimacy in front of the dog, since he wants the dog in his bed, will definitely disturb him. So according to my concerns, this is how I picture it. I would spend more time at his place than at mine and carry a bag of clothes almost every day. I would have very uncomfortable nights and be tired all the time because the bed is too small to fit 2 humans and a pug, plus the pug potentially snoring, and my boyfriend having to wake up earlier than he does today to walk the dog early in the morning, which ultimately will wake me up. We also won't be able to have intimacy because, yes, he confirmed it, it would be awkward for him. Wow, what a dream relationship. Makes everyone jealous. I express all of these concerns to him, but they were left unanswered. He basically confirmed the above and decided not to get a dog after signing papers at the breeders. He said he would need a few days because it felt like a miscarriage. I think the word miscarriage is important here because it shows he would have considered the dog his baby, and it would have been imposed on me against my will. But I feel guilty now that his dream of having a dog can't come true for now. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. This was the most mature way I have seen this situation handled. You took the time to give him legitimate concerns and you made very valid points. Nothing wrong with how this was handled. If anything, let the compromise be that you will revisit the dog situation when you live together. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You just clarified to him what having the dog would actually entail. It was then up to him to choose whether to go ahead. Ultimately, this was his decision. Saying it felt like a miscarriage is also extremely disrespectful to what people who have actual miscarriages go through. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my last post and for all your support. It's been a hectic 3 months since I shared my concerns about my boyfriend getting a dog, and I wanted to give you all an update on how things have been going. So after my boyfriend decided not to get the pug from the breeder, things were a bit tense between us for a while. He was really upset about not being able to get the dog, and I could tell he was struggling with the decision. We had a few long talks about it, and I tried to be as supportive as I could while still being honest about my own feelings and concerns. A few weeks later, my boyfriend's best friend from college came to visit for a weekend. They hadn't seen each other in years, and it was great to see them catch up and reminisce about old times. But during the visit, his friend mentioned that he and his wife had just adopted a puppy, and I could see the longing in my boyfriend's eyes as he played with their new furry family member. After his friend left, my boyfriend became more distant and withdrawn. He started spending more time at his own apartment, and when we were together, he seemed distracted and less engaged. I tried to talk to him about it, but he kept insisting that everything was fine and that he just needed some space to process his feelings about not getting the dog. As the weeks went by, I started to worry that my boyfriend was pulling away from me because of the dog issue. I knew how much he had wanted one, and I couldn't help but feel guilty for being the reason he couldn't have his dream pet. I tried to come up with ways to compromise, like suggesting we could dog sit for friends or volunteer at a local animal shelter, but he didn't seem interested. Then about a month ago, my boyfriend dropped a news on me. He told me that he had been doing a lot of thinking about our relationship and his own life goals, and he had come to the realization that he needed to make some changes. He said that not being able to get the dog had made him realize how much he wanted to have a pet in his life, and how important it was to him to have a partner who shared that desire. I was shocked and hurt by his words. I had always been honest with him about my feelings towards dogs, and I thought we had a strong enough relationship to work through this issue together. But as he continued to talk, it became clear that he had already made up his mind. He told me that he had started looking for a new apartment that allowed pets, and that he planned to adopt a dog as soon as he moved in. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I felt like my boyfriend was choosing a hypothetical dog over our relationship, and I didn't know how to respond. We ended up getting into a huge fight, with both of us saying things we later regretted. In the end, he stormed out of my apartment, and I was left feeling devastated and alone. In the weeks since then, my boyfriend and I have barely spoken. He moved out of his old apartment and into a new one across town, and from what I hear from mutual friends, he adopted a dog from a local rescue organization. I've seen a few photos of them together on social media, and while part of me is happy that he finally has the pet he always wanted, I can't help but feel betrayed and abandoned. Looking back on our relationship, I realize now that there were some underlying issues that we never fully addressed. My boyfriend had always been impulsive and prone to making big decisions without fully considering the consequences, and I had a tendency to avoid conflict and go along with what he wanted even when I had reservations. I think the dog issue just brought those problems to the surface and forced us to confront them head on. As for me, I'm still trying to process everything that happened and figure out what I want for my own future. I know that I'm not ready for the responsibility of a pet right now, but I also don't want to let my fear of commitment hold me back from finding a partner who shares my values and goals. I've started seeing a therapist to work through some of these issues, and I'm hopeful that with time and self-reflection, I'll be able to move forward and find happiness on my own terms. Anyway, that's where things stand now. It's been a tough few months, but I'm grateful for the support and advice I've received from all of you. Thanks for reading, and I'll keep you posted on any new developments. Why shied Aita for secretly making car payments for my girlfriend to help her? Michaela, a 22-year-old female, and I, a 25-year-old male, met in college and have been dating for several years. We have since both graduated, and while she has struggled to find work in her degree field, together we are doing quite well. This bothers her a bit since she is very independent and doesn't like feeling like a burden. I do what I can to help her feel independent, but I also want to give her the life she deserves. We have found compromise in that she is okay with gifts because a gift has no strings attached. This was really tested about a year ago when her car was totaled. She had no way to replace it and had to have a way to get to work and school daily. I let her borrow my car for a couple weeks while we figured out what we were going to do long term. I was happy for her to drive my car as long as she needed, but she hated it. Every day she felt like she was taking from me and giving nothing in return. I can and have named 100 reasons why that's not true, but she feels like that anyway. One night, she came home in tears and said she can't handle being responsible for something that isn't hers anymore. So we decided we would sit down and pick out a car online for her that night. After narrowing down her options, she fell in love with one that had low mileage and great fuel efficiency. When we went through pre-approval, her heart sank. The monthly payment was way out of her price range. I offered to split the payment and she immediately refused. She needed it to be her responsibility only. So I said, okay, what if I buy it outright and make it a gift to you? She felt like I was mocking her. I told her I was serious and to at least sleep on it. We talked about it more in the morning, and I reassured her that it would be 100% hers, that I wouldn't sign anything and her name would be the only one on it. She reluctantly agreed. I told her I would finish up the forms online while she was at work and we could go pick it up together when it was ready. When I got to the final steps, I selected the monthly payments. I figured if she doesn't know, she can't feel bad about me making them. And if I ever needed to, I could pay it off immediately. We went to pick up the car, And as soon as she saw it, her reluctance turned to joy. She was ecstatic and I felt justified in my secret. Everything worked out perfectly. Fast forward to last week. She comes home visibly upset, and before I can ask what's wrong, she throws the folder of her car's paperwork down on the counter. I say what she already knows and confess that I have been making payments the past year. We get into a huge argument, and she spends the night at her parents' house. She has not come home since. I am prepared for this to be the end of our relationship, so I paid off the remainder of the loan yesterday. I tried contacting her so she knows she can decide what her next step is without being dependent on me, but she still won't take my calls. I guess she will find out when she gets the title in the mail. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. I think she's ungrateful, but I have met a few people like her before. They feel very uncomfortable getting help from others or feeling like they can't take care of things themselves. So I can see why she may be a little upset, but it sounds like she's going overboard right now. She can be upset, but needs to look at your intentions. You wanted to help her. She needed help. She got it and was happy. You weren't trying to purposely lie and hurt her. Cars are necessities in certain areas. She's being silly in my opinion. Comment 2. Wait. Her name is on the loan. You tricked her into getting a loan. That is a monetary risk that she did not agree to. You didn't tell a lie that doesn't affect her? You committed fraud? Because if something happened where you two broke up, or your financial situation changed or you died, then she is screwed. What the FCK? Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a tough couple of weeks since my last post. I appreciate all the support and advice you've given me. After Michaela found out about the car payments, things got even worse. She refused to talk to me for days, and when she finally did, it was only to tell me that she needed space to think things through. I tried to explain my intentions, but she wouldn't listen. She said she felt betrayed and couldn't trust me anymore. A few days later, I received a letter from her. In it, she revealed that she had been struggling with feelings of inadequacy and insecurity for a long time. She felt like she wasn't contributing enough to our relationship and that I was always the one taking care of her. The car situation was the final straw for her. She said she needed to find herself and learn to be independent before she could be in a relationship. I was devastated. I never meant to make her feel that way. I thought I was helping, but I realized that I had been unintentionally undermining her independence. I tried to reach out to her again, but she had already moved out of our apartment and blocked my number. As the days went by, I started to reflect on our relationship. I realized that there had been signs of trouble for a while. Michaela had always been fiercely independent, and I had struggled to find a balance between supporting her and respecting her autonomy. I remembered a conversation we had early on in our relationship where she told me about her childhood. Her parents had always been overprotective and controlling, and she had fought hard to break free from that. I should have been more sensitive to her needs and desires. I also started to question my own motives. Had I been trying to control her in my own way? Had I been using my financial stability to keep her dependent on me? These thoughts kept me up at night, and I knew I needed to make some changes in my own life. A week later, I received a call from Michaela's best friend. She told me that Michaela had been in a car accident. She was okay, but the car was totaled. I rushed to the hospital to see her, but she refused to see me. Her friend told me that Michaela had been struggling to make ends meet since moving out and had been working long hours to pay her bills. The stress and exhaustion had taken a toll on her, and she had fallen asleep at the wheel. I felt guilty and responsible. If I had just been more understanding and supportive, maybe none of this would have happened. I decided to give Michaela the space she needed and focus on my own growth. I started seeing a therapist and working on my communication skills. I also started volunteering at a local charity that helps people in need. It's been a few months now, and I haven't heard from Michaela. I hope she's doing well and finding her own path. I know that our relationship may never be the same, but I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned. I realize now that true love isn't about control or dependence, but about mutual respect, trust, and support. I hope that one day Michaela and I can reconnect as friends and move forward with a healthier understanding of ourselves and each other. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's been a tough journey, but I'm determined to keep growing and learning from my mistakes. Aita for refusing to involve my father's affair partner and their kids in our family drama. Until I changed my mind, my dad had affairs, but one of the women got pregnant. He managed to keep this a secret for a couple of years. But the affair partner told my mom and chaos ensued. My parents split up, and my dad was excommunicated from his own family. His life went downhill because, as you can imagine, he is not the most emotionally stable person. He tried to maintain a relationship with me. I was 10 when my parents split, and he moved in with the affair partner. But I wasn't naive, so I figured out what kind of person he was and wanted nothing to do with that household. He fought for joint custody and attempted therapy for both him and me until I was 13 and ran away from home to avoid going to his house on the weekends. I actually made it to another country, LOL. That was when he stopped making me visit. We had very limited contact until about a year ago when I found out through one of my aunts that he's dying. Liver disease. I re-established contact to find closure. It's been 4 months, and I genuinely feel like a burden has been lifted. I've made peace with everything as far as I'm concerned. I've been assisting with a lot of the medical expenses to ensure his comfort. I've never had any contact with the affair partner or their children. I ran into her once at the hospital and completely ignored her. A few days ago, while visiting my dad at his palliative care facility, he brought up that he would like me to talk to the extended family about allowing the affair partner and the children to have contact. He said they would listen if it came from me because I was the one affected by his poor choices, and he just wanted the children to have family. The affair partner doesn't have any. I firmly declined, stating that I will not clean up his mess for him. Just because I've accepted his mistakes doesn't mean I want to see them every Christmas. If the rest of the family wants to reach out, that's their decision. But I won't pretend that I'm okay with it. He seemed hurt, but hasn't mentioned it again. I know the children will be left with nothing when he passes. His medical insurance is from his job, but I'm covering a significant portion of the expenses, and I've been handling a lot of his paperwork. I know he's broke. They will lose their house when he passes. Having a family connection could be helpful. However, I also don't believe that I owe him the lie of saying I'm fine with them being involved when I'm not. If they start attending events, I will disengage. I want nothing to do with these people. I'm considering all of this while trying to distance myself from the fact that I'm losing a dad I never really had in the first place. So I thought I'd seek some outside opinions. Again, I can't talk to many people about this because generally I don't share the circumstances. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. These are strangers to you. They're not your real family, but the kids also haven't done anything to hurt you. The au pair did. Frick her. Help them as much as you would a stranger in the same circumstances. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I'm glad you're getting closure and peace of mind to move on from his passing. That doesn't mean his affair partner and family are your responsibility, either financially or emotionally. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my previous post and offering your support during this difficult time. It's been a month since I last shared my story, and a lot has happened since then. After my dad's request for me to talk to the extended family about allowing the affair partner and their children to have contact, I spent a lot of time thinking about what to do. I knew that my decision would have a significant impact on everyone involved, and I didn't want to make a choice that I would regret later. I decided to reach out to my aunt, the one who had initially told me about my dad's illness, to get her perspective on the situation. She revealed that my dad had been trying to reconnect with the family for years, but they had all refused to have anything to do with him or the affair partner. She also mentioned that the affair partner had been struggling financially since my dad's health had deteriorated and that the children were having a hard time at school. This new information made me reconsider my initial stance. I realized that my decision to distance myself from the affair partner and their children was not only hurting them, but also perpetuating the cycle of pain and resentment that had plagued our family for years. I decided to arrange a meeting with the affair partner and their children. It was awkward and uncomfortable at first, but as we talked, I began to see them as real people with their own struggles and challenges. The children, in particular, seemed lost and confused, caught in the middle of a situation they had no control over. After the meeting, I reached out to the extended family and asked them to consider allowing the affair partner and their children to have some contact. I explained that while I understood their anger and hurt, holding on to those feelings would only cause more pain in the long run. I also emphasized that the children were innocent in all of this, and deserved a chance to have a relationship with their family. To my surprise, most of the family agreed to give it a try. They started by inviting the affair partner and their children to a few family gatherings. And while there were some tense moments, overall, it went better than I had expected. However, not everyone was on board with this new arrangement. My mom, in particular, was furious with me for even suggesting it. She felt that I had betrayed her by reaching out to the affair partner and their children, and she refused to have anything to do with them. I tried to explain my reasoning to her, but she wouldn't listen. She accused me of being selfish and not considering her feelings, and our relationship became strained as a result. As if that wasn't enough, my dad's health took a turn for the worse. He was moved to hospice care, and the doctors said he only had a few weeks left to live. I spent as much time with him as I could, but it was hard to watch him deteriorate so quickly. One day, while I was sitting with him, he asked me if I had talked to the family about the affair partner and their children. I told him that I had, and that most of the family had agreed to have some contact with them. He seemed relieved and thanked me for doing what he couldn't. A few days later, he passed away. It was a difficult time for everyone, but I was grateful that I had been able to spend some time with him before he died. In the weeks that followed, I tried to navigate the complicated dynamics of our newly blended family. It wasn't easy, and there were times when I wondered if I had made the right decision. But as I watched the children start to form relationships with their grandparents and cousins, I knew that I had done the best I could in a difficult situation. Looking back on everything that has happened, I realize that there are no easy answers when it comes to family conflicts. Sometimes, the only thing we can do is try to lead with compassion and understanding, even when it's hard. Thanks for reading and for all your support during this challenging time. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!